by night. Keep going crazy.
Hello, guys. It is Lexus Exodus, leader of the Black Woman Exodus. How are y'all doing? Like always, if you enjoy this content, please start off watching this video by liking and subscribing. Also, please comment in the comment section for me. Please say what's up in the chat. Just let me know that you are listening. Also, if you have any tips or suggestions for videos, we're going to do a suggested video today that's recently gone viral. Feel free to keep sending those to me. You can send those to my Gmail. It's lexusexoduschannel@gmail.com. Also, real quick, shout out to my donors, y'all. So special shout out to Tammy Slayton's barely used toothbrush is her name. Girl, that name is so funny. I remember seeing you in the chat. I see you often. Thank you so much for always supporting and for the donation. But I remember thinking, what is Tammy? Who's Tammy Slayton? And I Googled her, and when I saw who that was, I cackled, girl. You are a trip. Y'all are a mess. So thank you again for the donation. I really appreciate your support. This is another installment of my daily series called the Blackistan Zoo that premieres Monday through Friday at 6:30 ET, where we profile the animals, monsters, and other crazy creatures in Blackistan. So let's get to it. So today we're going to talk about your degenerate. So your degenerate can be found all throughout Chirac. You can also find him in Philadelphia, Nicaragua, and of course, in today's instance, you'll see that we can oftentimes find them in wacky, weirdo Florida as well. So your degenerate's appearance, he tends to be very disheveled looking, very crazed, very manic looking. And that's fitting for his behavior. So he's characterized by being a very, very evil person, being bloodthirsty, and also just having a naturally innate nefarious nature. So you'll see this animal oftentimes hurting and maiming and M-wording innocent victims. And it's because he is very volatile. He is very, very dangerous. So he's identified as being very violent, very volatile, very aggressive. And he is a very, very, very vicious person. And I decided to do this story today because I was inundated yesterday with so many emails suggesting a video that recently went viral, a news story that went viral of your typical degenerate Daquan. Like I said, oftentimes these guys are found in Florida. So this is a Florida man who is now currently on trial for tragically ending the lives of both his wife and his daughter, his 11-year-old daughter. And the really crazy part about this story is this degenerate decided to represent himself in court. So it is utter chaos. It's like a circus. So quick shout out before we get started. Shout out to JM who shared this story with me. Jamie, Black woman divest from Black men, who always shares tips with me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sis. Also, Optimistic Rain Clouds. Man, when I tell you, I was just getting messages left and right to cover this story. So, and then also I want to start this off with the trigger warning. I'm going to try to be more mindful about making sure I do that because we know a lot of us have previously been victimized by domestic abuse, also by child abuse. So trigger warning here. This one will be about intimate partner abuse, and it also involves children as well. And unfortunately, their lives were tragically taken from them. So if you're sensitive to this type of content and these types of stories, please proceed with caution. I don't want to trigger you guys because trust me, I understand this was triggering for me to do. So let's get started and really analyze your degenerate. So like I indicated, back in 2018, a degenerate, crazy naker went on this violent rampage down in Florida and decided to randomly attack and end the lives of his 11-year-old daughter who was on the spectrum and also the mother of his children. Not only did he do that, as if that wasn't enough, he set the house on fire. And also, his son, his 9-year-old son, was forced to be exposed to this to witness this happening, and then he ended this rampage by injuring his 9-year-old son, and then setting the house on fire. So I want us to look at this news story so we can kind of delve in deeper about what happened the night of this attack back in 2018. This is really sad, y'all. This is so sad. Gosh, sorry if I sound somber today. This is just a very, very heavy story, and it's very, very triggering for me and very tough to report out on this story. But okay, so we just watched the news clip about how back in 2018, this nutcase, this degenerate, this dangerous degenerate, savagely attacked his baby mother and then shot her and then attacked his daughter with an axe. Then, like I said, he stabbed his son and set him on fire and set the entire house on fire. Fortunately, the son survived, but he was the only survivor. And this man is effing crazy. The news story talks about how he claimed to be a part of the Nation of Islam. So this is why I say stay away from all of them. Stay away from the educated lame. Stay away from the so-called spiritual / religious nakers because they're all crazy. Oftentimes they often they're the worst because they are pedestalized, and because we know that it is very, very difficult and it's such a rarity to find someone with good morals if they are a Tyrone that belongs to this community. Once someone puts off that appearance as being a good man, then he's worshipped and he's pedestalized and he gets away with so much stuff and is enabled in his bullshit. So they're the worst. So this is why we have to stay away from all of these Tyrones in Blackistan. This one in particular was a part of the Nation of Islam, and he even screamed Allah Akbar while taking the lives of his relatives. Then the news story, as if that wasn't bad enough, said that he indicated that he did all this because of the white man who tried to harm him. Yet he didn't harm any white men in this story. He didn't do anything violently or act out violently or attack any white men. Not the white neighbor, not the police, who oftentimes will endure him to catch a knee to the neck. They never do that. They only lash out at the defenseless women and children in their lives like cowards. So he attacked them, and now they're gone. And to top it off, I just can't hone in and emphasize how tragic this is. His son had to witness that. So this is so sickening. This is awful. This is such a disgusting story. So let's keep moving and let's watch this short news clip that talks about the evidence that they also found that further illustrates that this Nignog is guilty of this crime, although we'll find out that later he's trying to deny it today while in trial.
Man accused of nearly killing his entire family may have threatened them before the incident. News Channel 8's Corey Davis joins us now live from the Tampa News Center. Now, Corey, there is a lot of evidence that's shedding light on Ronnie O'Neal III.
Hey, Josh, good evening to you, most definitely. And the evidence is all here in roughly 24 CDs of interviews and documents painting a picture of what may have led to the killings. Family of Kenyatta Barron and her 9-year-old daughter, Ronivia O'Neal, are still mourning after their murders back in March. These newly released photos show Ronnie O'Neal III, just after Hillsborough deputies say he killed his girlfriend and daughter, tried to murder his young son before setting the house on fire. The charges show that deputies believe O'Neal was able to think this out. We're now hearing in interviews just released that some people didn't see any signs of trouble at the home until screams for help that night. Others say O'Neal threatened his girlfriend in the past and was seen on the roof yelling well before the incident. The night of the murders, deputies say he made a 911 call, ranting about demons, calling Kenyatta by her nickname, Kiki.
911, what is your emergency? Hey, I just been attacked by some white demons inside Kiki. Kiki, her name is Kiki. And she tried to kill me.
Kenyatta called 911 begging for her life, while deputies say O'Neal yelled Allah Akbar in the background. New evidence shows that there may have been tension over his efforts to convert the family to Islam. And O'Neal has spoken out several times in court, at one point saying the media is portraying him as, quote, a menace to society. Doctors now say he's incompetent to stand trial, and just a couple days ago, he was moved to a state hospital where he'll stay until he's fit to come back. Live in the Tampa News Center, Corey Davis, News Channel 8.
Oh, boy. Golly. So let's chat about what we just watched. So we heard the 911 call where he's talking about quote unquote white demons. This man is effing crazy. He is mentally disturbed. He's a psychopath. And I think what I really find interesting is that Nakers always have the uncanny capability to be blameless and to claim that they're not at fault, even when clearly there's blood on their hands. And literally in this situation, I don't just mean figuratively, literally, they said the man walked out with blood stain on his hands and on his body and clothing. And still he's talking about and blaming the white man, the white demons. And it's like, man, you still talking about the white man. All y'all do that. So like Tyrone, when you ask him, how come you sold off your people to slavery? He'll say, oh no, the white man forced me to do that. If you come back and say, well, Tyrone, why years later, why did you sell crack to your neighbors and your family members in your community? No, the white man, they placed the drugs in the community. That's why I did that. Tyrone, why do you pump and dump even still to this day and create fatherless children that you abandon and leave the woman to struggle? No, the white man created welfare, and that caused on this. And it's like, dude, like what the hell? And in this case, Tyrone viciously attacked his wife and his innocent children, and he's saying, no, the white man made me do it. And it's like, is there any accountability, Nakers? Is there any at all? And I'm going to go on a quick rabbit hole, but I promise we'll get back on track. But I was listening to Sinji yesterday, and I know some of you guys don't like her content, but I do, because I do feel like, I feel like you should never follow a content creator to the ends of the earth, ever. You should never, ever totally agree with everything they say. And I don't agree with everything Sinji says, but I think she makes some very, very valid points most of the time. And anyway, she did a show yesterday where the white man called in, and I really want to do a video reacting to this video because when I tell y'all, he effortlessly read these nakers for filth and told them about themselves. I would encourage you to check it out if you haven't already. This was live from yesterday. And he said, Tyrone, your women are carrying your communities. When I'm in the boardrooms or if I'm at these business meetings or at conferences, I don't see you, but I do see Keisha doing the damn thing. I see her and other Black women being the movers and shakers and owning shit. I see her doing it alone too, because, oftentimes she's a single mother and you guys abandoned her and her children and she's still figuring shit out. And he even also mentioned one thing that was really impactful. Then we'll move on. He said, I'm happy to help the community. I'm happy, but Tyrone, you got to meet me halfway. Like you got to do something. You got to do something because all I've seen you do is bitch and moan and complain and scapegoat like this guy. And he's like, yeah, only Black women can match our intellect and our wit. And her drive and her ambition is incredible. And he also talked about, Brads, we know what a good investment is. Everything that we do is strategic and we want an ROI on what we do. We're not doing things just for charity. Even when they do charitable donations, a lot of times you'll see the white community and groups of other community doing it because they have a motive. It could be to have a tax write-off or things like that. He mentioned this Goldman Sachs investment. The reason it's an investment, it's not charity. And the reason why they're doing that is because there's clear indicators that investing in Black women, you'll get a solid, nice ROI, a return on your investment. So he talked about that. And it's like, come on, dude, let's get out of that degenerate thought process. And here we have an ape who clearly is guilty of brutally attacking his entire family. And instead of owning it, like Brad said yesterday on Cynthia's call, instead of just saying, I need help, I snapped, and, I did this horrific thing, I'm sorry, somehow it's the white man's fault. So I want to quickly go through public record, a gruesome child fatality report that really delves in deep about what happened here. And again, this gets very detailed. So if you are one of those who are like faint at heart and really, can't endure and get really triggered by things like this will be a tough portion of the show to get through. Okay. Yeah. So it talks about this incident and it documents what happened that night back in March 2018, where this poor little girl lost her life at the hands of her father. It talks about the call that occurred due to domestic violence. It talks about when law enforcement arrived, they saw the mom lying face down on the sidewalk. It also talks about the fire that happened. It talks about how the man was covered in blood. This Nick Knock, who is guilty, who is the culprit of this horrific event, he was covered in blood. Oh, no. It talks about how the son. So it talks about how the son came outside and was covered in blood and had abdominal injury and burns. And then he was transported to the hospital where he received help. It talks about the daughter who passed in this tragic event, how she was nonverbal and was autistic, and how she was found with burns and stab wounds. This isn't bad enough. It talks about the injuries that this poor child experienced. So the autopsy shows that this girl was penetrated and had chops and blade wounds to her head, neck, torso, and feet. She had fractures of her cervical vertebrae, perforation of larynx. I think that's how you pronounce that. Fracture of mandible, cerebral contusion, and traumatic axonal injury. She had burn injuries. Lord Jesus. Oh my Lord. Some hemorrhaging. My gosh. So this poor little girl suffered. She suffered. Yep, she had internal injuries, physical injuries, burns. My gosh. This poor baby, her last moments on this earth, they were excruciating. And this man tormented her. And the poor baby was nonverbal, so she couldn't even communicate or talk or yell for help. Okay. So I want to keep going. Hang in there with me. I know this is a tough one, but it really is important that, we share these stories and that we share our testimonies. Otherwise, we can't save other Black women. So I want to keep going just so we can really, really hone in on how horrific this event was and how evil and just demented and demonic this man was and what he did was. So let's watch this story where the son who survived the attack, he recalls exactly what happened that night.
That boy, just 8, when he said his father attacked him after murdering his mom and 9-year-old sister. He bravely faced his father again today. We want to get straight to Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer at the Hillsborough County Courthouse. And Aaron, he testified a short time ago. What did he say?
Well, Matt, first of all, this was just gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. I mean, you can fill in any number of words here to listen to this little boy describe that horrific night that his family was killed and he barely survived. The state had him walk jurors through what he remembers. This little boy's name is also Ronnie, although he now has a different last name, and he testified remotely this morning. His father, Ronnie O'Neill III, is accused of brutally murdering his girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, and his 9-year-old daughter, Ronivia, in Riverview at the Riverview home back in 2018. Investigators have said he shot Kenyatta and beat her with a shotgun, used a hatchet to stab his daughter repeatedly, and then stabbed his young son before lighting the boy and their house on fire. Little Ronnie was 8 at the time. He's now 11 years old. What you're about to hear is the younger Ronnie detail how what prosecutors described as his father's murderous rampage began that night.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom, and mom screaming at him.
So, you saw your mother and father arguing in the bedroom, and your father had a shotgun. What happened next? What did he do?
My mom ran to my sister's room. My mom ran in my sister's room into the closet. And then my dad said, "Come in here and come kill the B-word."
Did you hear any shots from the shotgun before that?
Yes.
How many times?
One.
The little boy goes on to explain how he witnessed his father kill his sister. Meanwhile, Ronnie O'Neal, who was acting as his own defense attorney, got the chance to cross-examine his son, and he appeared to be pointing out that his son's comments during testimony today conflicted with what he told detectives and attorneys at the time of the incident, and then in the years that have followed between then and today. Now, the judge also commended Ronnie O'Neal on how he conducted himself in court today. He said that that she is going to put on the record, the judge is going to put on the record that Ronnie O'Neal seemed to be more than competent to defend himself in court based on how he acted today. And Matt, we didn't know exactly what to expect going into this trial and going into the third day of the trial when these two would be facing off during today's testimony, based on how Ronnie O'Neal acted Monday when he shouted at jurors during his opening testimony. But again, the judge commended him on how he acted today. But there's still a lot more here to play out throughout the remainder of today, and we'll have some more later on this evening.
Yeah, this case far from over. Aaron Mesmer live for us at Hillsborough County Courthouse. Thanks.
Okay. So that poor baby, he's only 11 years old. And this is so heartbreaking. And it looks like they gave him, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but it looks like they gave him a support dog to help provide him some comfort while he was testifying. And here we saw him giving an account of how he witnessed his mother and sister have their lives tragically taken by this fool. And we're going to later in this video get into how this Nignog, this degenerate, also had the opportunity to cross-examine this poor child and traumatize him over again, like, you know, as if he hadn't been hurt and harmed and traumatized by what already happened enough. But anyway, did y'all catch the part when he accounts him saying, "Come help me kill this B word"? Did y'all hear that? Because that stood out to me, because it's like, this is your typical degenerate ape. So initially it was only the little girl and the mom who had gotten hurt, not the son. He only proceeded to hurt the son after he refused to participate in the violence against his mother and sister. Then, you know, after he ended their lives, then he hurt the son. But that makes sense because Blackistan hates women and girls. They do. Here's the even sadder part about all of that. Although this was very horrific and very traumatizing to this boy, studies show that boys who witness this type of domestic violence growing up, they are very, very likely to end up becoming abusers themselves. And as adults, that sad, that horrific cycle just continues over and over again. So I wouldn't be surprised, unfortunately, if 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, if this little boy, you know, if he wound up in court under similar circumstances. Okay, so let's keep going. So believe it or not, this story gets more bizarre as this Nignog, like I said, he decided not to utilize any type of legal representation. He decided to represent himself. Yeah. And like I said previously, he was also given the chance to cross-examine his poor son that survived this attack. And the clip that's gone viral recently is depicting him making a total fool of himself because he's clearly guilty, but is choosing to be his own legal representation, pretending that he's innocent in court. So let's watch this nonsense. Let me rewind.
Evidence is going to show.
This is the first impression jurors received of Ronnie O'Neal, the Riverview man charged in a gruesome rampage that killed his girlfriend, his young daughter, and nearly killed his 8-year-old son. O'Neal, representing himself, shouted at the jury during his opening statement.
And the evidence is going to show that law enforcement tampered with evidence.
But the state says evidence is indisputable, that the only person responsible for the violent attack on his family is Ronnie O'Neal. And it starts with a 911 call from Kenyatta Barron, O'Neill's girlfriend.
She made that call with fear in her voice.
Hold on, I just wanted to pause it there. Can we pause and talk about how hideous this man is? He's ugly. He looks evil. He looks animalistic. He looks like the cruel person that would commit a horrific crime like he's done. He looks possessed, really. And I hate those wig locks. I hate this hairdo. This is something that's popular in Florida, apparently. And I did a video briefly talking about how this is disgusting and how, Nakers have kind of taken the natural hair movement and have bastardized it with this bullshit. This hairstyle is effing disgusting. And I said that before online and someone called me self-hating, but no, this is not embracing your natural hair. This is unkemptness. You look crazy. You look like Sideshow Bob. You look like an absolute fool. Let's keep going because I want you guys to hear the 911 call of the victim, of the mom, pleading for her life. And then we will chat some more.
Kenyatta can be heard pleading for her life. Prosecutors say by then she'd already been shot. And while the recording continued, they say O'Neill can be heard beating her with a shotgun.
The evidence will show that was just the beginning. That's just the beginning of what happened this evening.
Investigators say after killing Kenyatta, O'Neill brutally murdered his 9-year-old daughter, Ranivia, and tried to stab to death his 8-year-old son, also named Ronnie, before setting him and the house on fire.
And it's just the beginning of what became an odyssey for this little boy. An odyssey of violence, an odyssey of brutality.
The little boy, however, survived the attack, barely.
But the words that came out of this little boy's mouth were not a cry for help. They were not a help me or a painful cry. They will tell you the first words that came out of this little brave boy's mouth. My daddy killed my mom.
The evidence is going to show. My son did not see me murder his mom. The evidence is going to show. He did not see me shoot his mom.
And Ronnie O'Neill has indicated that he plans to argue that he acted in self-defense. Meanwhile, his son, Ronnie IV, is expected to testify in this case. Right now, he's 11 years old at this point. This happened 3 years ago. And he is going to testify in the coming days. Chris?
11 years old and saw things as an 8-year-old that no one should ever see, and will now be on the other side of possibly putting his father away for life or more. A lot to come on this trial here as it just gets underway. Aaron Mesmer live for us in Hillsborough County. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, y'all, this is a effing mess. So this fool, y'all saw this fool acting a fool, his inarticulate ass trying to defend himself with no legal experience, no legal background. But we know that Nakers are narcissists. They're the biggest narcissists. So he figures he can talk his way out of this mess. But it's like he's talking about self-defense. How do you claim self-defense against an 11-year-old little girl and the 9-year-old boy that you also viciously attacked and tried to M-word? What? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And all the evidence that they have here, they have the son's account. They also can hear the woman, the poor lady, his girlfriend that he tragically took her life. We can hear her pleading in the background. But this is what your degenerates do. This is what they do. So I also wanted to show you guys this clip of him cross-examining his son. And this is probably one of the toughest portions of this show. One of the toughest clips that I've found on this is, this man, after ending the lives, tragically, brutally, of this boy's mom and his sister, and he witnesses it. He's also forced to participate in the trial and be cross-examined by his evil father. So let's watch this and then we will chat.
How you doing, Ryan?
Good.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Did you see me shoot your mom?
No.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
And investigators have said that Ronnie O'Neal tried to set his son and their house on fire.
This is disgusting. This is so heartbreaking and so disturbing. My heart, I can't. So this poor child has witnessed the deaths of both his mother and his sister, and he's traumatized. This event has totally altered the trajectory of his life. And now, fast forward 3 years later, he's being forced to interact and to endure being cross-examined by the person who has done it. Poor boy. And this fool, this degenerate Nig Nog is talking about it's good to see you. It's good to see you. Y'all see that manipulative shit? It's his father, so he can't like buck up at him. You know, he's still his authority figure. He still respects him. So he's terrified of him probably. And probably, I'm sure, very intimidated by him. It's horrific enough to have to stand on trial, even still to this day. So I do a lot of presentations. I'm in a leadership role in the healthcare industry. I still get butterflies when I'm presenting in front of a lot of people, when I'm like in board meetings, things like that. This boy is only 11 years old. So he's in front of this courtroom full of people, this highly publicized case where there's cameras everywhere, all these people in his face, lawyers and attorneys. And he, on top of that, he's being forced to be cross-examined by the person who ended the lives of his mother and his sister. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. And this man, this evil narcissistic man, questions what the boy saw in true narc behavior and in true manipulative fashion. And thankfully, the boy stood 10 toes down and said, yes, you did hurt me. Yes, you did. And you hurt my mom and my sister too. There's also a half-an-hour clip that really, just details this painful account of him trying to defend himself, this Nig Nog, this ugly, nefarious Nig Nog, trying to defend himself against these allegations. So if you guys want to look at this, I can't subject myself to a half an hour of this mess. It's too much. But if you guys want to check this out, I'll link it in the chat. But yeah, he's making a fool of himself. It's clear that he's guilty. And now when it's time to, face the repercussions of his actions, the implications of his actions, he is crying foul and is blaming it on the white man. So this is your degenerate, y'all. This is your degenerate. This is your average Tyrone. And here's my thing. What makes me upset is I'll get detractors and trolls, Tyrones who are triggered, who will come to my page and, they gaslight and they'll deflect and deny. That's all they're good at. So they'll randomly say, oh, look at Chet Hanks. Let's look at Chet Hanks and what he did to y'all. And when they say that to y'all, Black women, you tell that Nig Nog, you tell him about Ray Rice. You tell him about Ray McDonald, about Ezekiel Elliott, about Deshaun Watson, Tyreek Hill, and the slew of many other well-known professional naked athletes who have brutally beaten their wives' asses. And that's just the well-known ones. That's just the highly publicized ones. I want you to also tell them about the unknown ones, about the Ben Rockets, who was recently arrested for shooting and tragically taking the life of his GF. Talk about Tyrone Jacksaw, down in Florida, another Florida man, a Florida Nig Nog, who shot and took his girlfriend's life while she sat in the passenger seat of his car. Talk about Tamarcus Stewart, the boy in Little Rock, Arkansas, who shot a 13-year-old girl dead in her home in a damn drive-by that she had nothing to do with. I can't with y'all. Y'all need some more? Y'all need some more Tyrones? Because I know y'all listening. I know y'all hate watching. What about Joshua Green, who took the life of his mother in Maryland, then proceeded with his nefarious evil ass, like y'all like to do, shot up a convenience store randomly, full of innocent victims. Because y'all are erratic, y'all are violent, and y'all are dangerous. Let's talk about Joseph West, Devontae Verrett. All these 8 who tragically ended the lives of innocent Black women, all within the last 90 goddamn days. And here's my thing. Niggers will go back to the history books. Oh, well, Brad used to R-word you back in plantation days. And it's like, all I have to do is look up Black femicides page. And all of these instances happened over the past 30 damn days. And like I said, I got all of these details from Black Femicides IG. Check her out. She never lacks content like this because you nakers keep taking these women's lives every goddamn 6 hours. Every 6 hours. So we can't even get, Black women, we can't even get through an 8-hour shift without being hurt and maimed by these nakers. They are so heartless, so evil, and so hateful for no reason. You killing these Black women off, knocking them down like flies. They dropping like flies. When we look at the stats, when we look at the statistics, 45% of all Black women experience some form of sexual violence and physical violence. 45%. That's almost half. So if you in the room with 4 women, Black women, guess what? Likely 2 of them, half of y'all, have been assaulted by one of these Tyrones. We also experience the highest rates of homicide at the hands of these knuckle-dragging nignogs. I also read statistically 60% of Black girls report experiencing sexual violence or some sort of violence being assaulted by the age of 18. So this is the state that we're at. This is the state where we're at. Black girls can't even make it out of the Dawsons. Out of wearing pigtails and jumping rope, jumping double dutch, and wearing jelly sandals. We can't even make it past that age without being victimized by you fucked up motherfuckers. So don't come over here with that nonsense. Don't do it. Don't fix your mouth. Because like I said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep exposing you. I'm going to keep warning young Black girls. I'm going to keep exposing y'all nakers and calling y'all out on y'all's bullshit. Because I don't want them to experience the same tragic bullcrap where we all traumatized, where we all stuck in therapy and making poor life decisions because we have been traumatized, we have been assaulted, and we have been victimized over and over and over again by you nignogs. All right, y'all. See, I'm done. This is why I can't cover these stories, because it pisses me off. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much for experiencing that with me, for bearing this, I should say, and during that. I know this was a tough one, so I really do appreciate you guys walking with me on this one. All right, until next time. See you guys. Bye.
Fellas, if y'all come across a red iPhone, can you please bring it to the sound stage? Red iPhone, appreciate it.